After a lengthy struggle, King Hor-Aha has managed to unite the twin kingdoms of Upper and Lower Egypt and proclaimed himself Pharaoh over all Egypt. As a sign of his absolute sovereignty and the establishment of this, the first dynasty of Egypt, Hor-Aha has ordered the founding of an imposing capital at Men-nefer, from which he may govern this fledgling nation. Because of your family's many generations of faithful service to this land, Pharaoh has chosen you to be the architect of this splendid city. Because the capital is the very symbol of our kingdom, its citizens must enjoy a quality of life heretofore unknown in this land. To this end, you will eventually need to trade with other cities in the realm and to provide a higher standard of education for at least some of your citizens. You must also build a sacred mastaba tomb for the city's nobles.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Land of the Pharaohs. I am Sajuuk and we are going to be heading into Men-nefer. A capital is founded and we have some fairly high ratings. Some of them we can't fulfill right now because we don't have access to that functionality, but we are going to open up a lot more on this mission. So 1500 people, prosperity rating of 20, we'll talk about that later. Culture of 15 and a monument, which we won't be able to do right now. But we're going to make a house evolve into a spacious apartment. And of course we're going to be continuing on hard mode. Let's proceed. So now we don't get really anything else about tutorials. So begin by planning for areas of housing and industry. By now you should know what the people want in addition to the basics of food and water. You must provide some houses with pottery, beer, entertainment and access to religious services before you can think about higher education and trade. So just slow time right down and pause. So, not much. There's a lot of just desert. We're not going to be building there, but there's a lot of reeds, which we're going to be needing later. A bit of water over there, and not much in the way of floodplain, but I think this should be more than suitable to support our city here, because we don't need that big of a city. Now, there is one thing I want to just note. Just here, right there, is a single tile of meadowland. Now, I don't know why that's there. It shouldn't be there. It can't be irrigated, so don't bother building a farm there. But I just thought I'd mention that little mistake by the game developers there. So, we have 9,000 starting funds, and we're going to have some rescue funds as well. No water trade yet, that's okay. So, we just need to build up the city. So I'm going to go and plan it, and we do have chickpeas and barley. So chickpeas is a food type. I'm not too sure about it offhand. I can't remember all the details in regards to the food types, but I think chickpeas is sort of light, sort of a bit halfway, I think. Anyway, I'm going to go plan out a housing block and I'm going to come back in once I've planned it. Alright, so here we have our city set up. So we have, what is it, basically a 9x9 housing block. I will use a 9x9 quite a few times in some missions, not always, but in some missions I will use a 9x9, just various blocks. Now, so what we've got here is basically all we need to support this city. So we're just going to speed up time. Let the people come in. So, a few chickpea farms here. So it says here, chickpeas are a versatile source of protein and quite popular in your people's diet. So they do like chickpeas. So, should have everything we need set up here. Now, I have put down what is effectively a loop. Now, this loop here will pass these houses. So they should always get access to employees regardless of which way they go. Which is what we want to see. And I have made this long enough that I can get a few clay pits right at the outer edge here. We will be selling clay. We can actually get around all of that bit there, so there's plenty of space. Now I do believe we can sell, I think, pottery later. I'm not too sure. I can't remember the specifics of this mission. It's been a long time since I played this because... not the game, but these early missions, because quite often I would find myself playing the later, more tougher missions, just because that's the best way of getting the practice up on those harder missions. So we should be able to get plenty of people into the city from this. So, good thing about this Chief Overseer is it gives you a quick idea of how many employees you're short by. This requires you to sort of randomly calculate. We are just going to make infrastructure number one priority, because it should be. Now I do believe we can put down a few more housing here. Now we don't have much starting funds, so we don't want to go too far here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the people farm on the floodplain here. I will put down... let's put that there. And you're going to accept chickpeas. And we'll have a granary maybe down on this side and they'll just go and get the chickpeas. When does this harvest? September, so we have plenty of time to get some sort of harvest in. So, yeah, I'll let this run. I'll come back in when the harvest is here. Okay, so we do need some employees, that's okay. We did have like, what, 25% unemployment, but that's fine. I did forget to show you the gods. We have Osiris, Ptah, and Bast. And Ptah is our patron god, who is the god of craftsmen. Each of the gods have, I think I've mentioned this earlier in a previous part, but each of the gods has their own sort of purpose, but over time I will explain them pretty clearly. So we're getting our harvesting here, and this looks like a good harvest. I have set up a bit of a pottery industry, just helps with the unemployment as well. I was always forgetting about the gods because I realised we didn't set it up, which is not too good of me. But we have what here? A full yard basically of chickpeas from that harvest, so that's pretty good. So we should be able to feed this housing block. I don't think we need to do it right now, since we've got plenty of unemployed people. If I need to just bump off things. Probably not the best idea, but hey, who cares. So I will probably put down a few more. This Bast temple I will probably move, so that we can get up to this top level here, because we will need access to it. So we have our harvest, and I think it should do quite nicely. Not too sure where I'm going to put all of these. We don't need too much pottery, we just produce enough pottery to support the city. 2 potters, well 4 potters and a couple of clay pits should be enough. So if I put one more clay pit there, that should be enough to support the city. If I just do 1, 2. And the rest can be brewers along this bit. Let's see. Yeah, if I just roadblock along this bit, we should be fine. So let's see, unemployment 7% is starting to climb up, which is pretty good. And yeah, at this point we just need to get the people fed. So I'm going to wait until the next harvest, I think. Now it does say here figs, so you can get food from imports, but we can't do that just yet. So I'm going to let this run. I'm going to come back in when we start to feed the populace. Okay, so we're going to be harvesting our next little bit here. I have expanded the floodplain and put down as much as I can. Put in a couple of barley farms as well, and some more chickpea farms. And I think this should be enough to support the city. So, why is this not working? Apparently I have built too much, and I don't have access to the Overseer of Commerce just yet, so I can't get all these guys up, but we can now. So that is basically the game telling me that I need to put down some food and supplies to this here, so we're just going to make sure they only buy chickpeas. And while we're at it, we can just put down some house. Now you'll notice I have put a road round here. This is starting to get a little bit cluttered. I don't want to affect the desirability too much. So if I need to put down some more industries, I have some space over here to just put down more industries. Now we are running out of money. I don't want to run out too much of money because that's a bad idea. These things cost like 1,000 to put down, which is a lot of money. Especially since we have no exports at this point. Let's put down a juggler there. Now why does this not have access to employees? It's not hard to go round in a circle and get access to employment. Let's just check. All of these have got no access to employees. It might be just because of this priority. Yes it is. So we'll just take that off. And they should all work quite nicely. There we go. Since we now involve this housing, we should be able to get more people in. Unfortunately, there was going to be no harvest, no floods, so it's going to be a shit season. This Chief Overseer, as I mentioned before, is very useful. It does tell you basically what the nilometer is telling the city. So if this is poor or not going to happen, sometimes it's always a good idea to just give gifts or, well, bless Osiris, basically, he'll help. So I'm going to just put down 1 shrine. If I just get these people out of the way. I'm just going to put down 1 shrine each to these gods. Keep them all nice and happy. Maybe they will bless us. Now I do know that at hard mode, they sort of dwindle their effects. They don't like giving blessings as much. So we'll just put down a bandstand. This block is sort of designed for a pavilion, not bandstands. But that's okay. So we are evolving this housing here. There's not enough entertainment. That's okay. We can just put down a conservatory right there, and that should be fine. So we are starting to run out of money. So the heart, oh Jesus, 18%, 16%, 17%. That's 5. That's not like there's nothing in these farms, which is not too good. So flooding quality is pretty shit on this one. Anyway, I'll let this run. I'll come back in once we're provided access to beer, pottery, and everything that we need to get up to the spacious apartment level. Okay, we're starting to evolve our housing here. We are getting problems with unemployment, unfortunately. We don't have much ways of controlling it at this point. But we are starting to get unemployed, so I'll just put down that. So we have got here some spacious homesteads. We can provide them access to beer quite easily. And I will just put down a courthouse, which I did place here, but I deleted just to make sure that I could come back in without them fully evolving. So this should provide them access to spacious apartments. So let's just speed this up. 1,000 people call the city home. Nice. There we go. Now that you've built up this city somewhat, it's time to provide education for some citizens. Schools and libraries cannot educate people without papyrus from which to write. Libraries aren't required unless you're going for manners. I'll talk about it later. So the reed gatherers go out to get reeds. They go to the papyrus maker, which hammers the reeds into place, gives the papyrus, it's delivered to a school. Which pretty much here. So let's just slow this down. So make some papyrus and build a scribal school. So let's just put down one. So here. This house can't evolve. There's some entertainment in the location, but not enough. Now I think that means I'm probably going to have to put down booths just to evolve it. Osiris is going to bless the fields, which is good. Well, not bless the fields, but he's going to make the harvest better. So what we're going to do is we're going to put down 2 reed. Now, with reed gatherers, they collect reeds at a pretty astonishing rate. So we don't need more than 2. Let's just put down 2. We'll just roadblock here. I did put roads right around outside here because why not? We're just going to put down papyrus in this yard. We could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 should be enough. We are starting to run out of money here, and this is good for unemployment. At least, so the reed gatherers will go out to the reeds, get the reeds, they get like shit tons most of the time, so it's fine. 51 employees, these houses are evolving. I'm sort of just beautifying this location at this point, trying to keep the costs from going up too high because we have taken the first rescue funds, so I don't want to go into debt. We are pretty close to it, so let's just speed up time. Papyrus maker. These are all affected by the papyrus makers. Okay, so put a few booths down has allowed them to at least say that they want access to scribal school. So I'll just put some plaza along here and along here. Now we are going to go into debt, which is not too good, but we can put down a tax collector and get some tax money in. Because as I said, getting up to courthouse, these guys will pay for themselves effectively, so it's a good idea. So we are producing plenty of reeds, hundreds. I mean, these things are constantly full of reeds. So start to produce that. And yeah, so let's just check our here. We can't get to this button yet, but we'll get there soon enough. One thing I should point out is this ratings overseer is a good way of making sure you're coming towards your goal. So if there's a pillar like this, it means you've met that goal. If it's got no pillar, it's just like that, it means you've not met that target yet. So we just need people, basically, at this point, which we are going to start getting. Just speed this up. We should get enough papyrus here. There we go. Trade with other cities. Now that you have managed to educate some of your people, you might want to generate additional revenue by selling any surplus papyrus you have to neighbouring cities. You'll also need to import bricks from Perwadjet in order to build the Sacred Mastaba tomb. When you're ready, click on the world map icon. That graphic is supposed to actually, that says graphic here, that is actually supposed to show that it's just a mistake. To see what other cities there are in the known world and to begin setting up trade. So now we have to do that. Common residences, so these are quite high, so common residents, they require 2 types of food, so you should be able to get to this level very easily in most missions. And I recommend always trying to get to this level because otherwise it's a mess, to be honest. One other thing to note is that this level, common residence, is the one that they need to become 2x2s. So, Overseer of Commerce. This is a useful thing. It tells you basically your imports and exports, and this is a good way of turning off industry, so you can just turn off a whole industry if you're hemorrhaging workers, stockpiling as well. The world map shows the location of your own city, as well as other cities in the world. Here you can pay to open up trade routes with any cities willing to trade. Cities who wish to engage in trade appear on the map in full colour and fly a flag. Cities that will not trade with your city are muted. To set up a trade route, just click on it and buy it. So here. Now, as I said, this widescreen hack is a better version. As you can see, there's no repeating this on the map, so it's pretty good. We are here at Men-nefer. We can trade with Sajuuk, which sells us bricks. Good. They don't buy anything, which is unfortunate. We don't need to import anything other than bricks. The Ken here buys papyrus, so we are going to trade with them when we get a supply of papyrus, because we can't afford to import bricks. If you look at the prices, bricks are 100. Well, on this mission they're pretty cheap, 105. On most missions it's usually 105 to sell and 120 to import or something. So the prices here are not representative of what they are in most campaign missions, so just be aware of that. So I'm going to come back in once we are starting to sell our first papyrus. Okay, so we have opened up trade with the Ken here, and they're going to start buying some of our papyrus and get us out of debt, which is not very helpful. So we should be able to sell the entire yard's worth right now, because they do buy. Land traders will buy 800 and sell 800. So they buy and sell 800 basically. And there we go, we're out of debt. What's that, 800 yet? So you're going to sell another 800. And there we go, look at all that money. And we're going to need that money to support the city, so firehouse is apparently causing problems, so let's just beautify this area, make it all nice and happy. Unemployment is fine. No, I'd rather prefer we had a few more people in the city, so let's put down some more houses. I like these sort of like cat and statues and all that. They're a lot better than just a generic little thing like this. That one's quite low and it doesn't really blend in quite nicely, but I think, in all fairness, I like these little cat statues. They're good for desirability. And we are just going to put down some additional shrines and keep our gods nice and happy. There's one on the end I can put down to Osiris. Misplaced it, that's okay. Let's see, so we have 4 to Osiris, that's a bit too much, so let's just put down 1, 2 and 1 to Bast. Just filling up all these spaces, making sure everyone's happy. We have gone back into debt, but we're making more papyrus, the people are coming in and out. Normally what I would do is just disconnect the entrance point from wherever you have to trade, because then it will go cross country, which will go faster, but yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to delete this road. And if anything, I'm just going to put it round. I'll put it up to a certain point and then sort of not make it touch. So I'll do that. At least looks realistic. So we'll just sell more papyrus. There we go, out of debt. Okay. So one thing to note is about this prosperity rating. There's a lot of factors that equate into it. The most common factors that equate into prosperity is how much money you're making and the overall quality of your housing. So to make money, this will keep going down as long as your city's lost money. So you need to have basically 2 profitable years to make this go up. And even if this is going up because of the good thing, it will be capped based on your housing. So each level has sort of like a set level of prosperity. For common residences, it's basically around about 50-55. Fancy residences is about 60-65. And manor housing goes up to 100. But you can, even with low level housing, still get to 100 if you're making a shit ton of cash. And so normally I will try to, in pretty much every playthrough of every mission, I'll try to at least get to common residences. They give you, what, 80 people, which is a good amount of money. That tax rate up. I think we're doing quite well, so now I just have to wait to make some money so that I can import the bricks, because it's going to cost a lot of money to import bricks. I don't really want to import them right now. Okay, so we are doing well with this city. Now I did have to put down a few bandstands here and there because these houses were doing a little thing where they were constantly devolving and re-evolving. Now because we don't have access to dancers at this stage, I did have to just throw down a few extra stages in training schools just to keep them all nice and stable. This little appenditure here is just to support our... we're going to have a couple of extra work camps here, and we will have other things as well, but we are going to open up the trade route to Pharaoh of Egypt and start importing bricks. So let's just import... So in Pharaoh, a change from Caesar, it'll say importing is needed. Now this is where the game decides how much bricks you need, and or just any item. So if you import to maintain this, it will always, but for any raw resource, it will be however many these things take, plus 200. So because we have potters here, there's 5 potters, that's 1,000 clay, plus 2 extra, so that's 1,200 to import. Now we don't need to do that since we are making our own clay here. And yeah, so we're just going to get this all set up. We should be able to pass these houses quite easily. Warning, poor access to workers. Well, let's just extend this a little bit. Okay. With a supply of bricks, you're now ready to begin work on the sacred mastaba tomb. Most monuments require both skilled and unskilled workers, construction guilds. They supply the skilled labour needed to erect the monuments. The mastaba is made entirely of bricks and requires only a bricklayer's guild to build it. You can employ as many bricklayer's guilds as your economy can support. But make sure you also have enough bricks being delivered to the construction site to keep them busy. So one thing to note is that the more guilds you have, the quicker the monuments are going to go, but you have to make sure you have enough unemployment to support it. Once the bricklayer's guild has adequate labour, it will dispatch bricklayers to the construction site where they will wait for delivery of bricks by unskilled peasant labourers. Once there are enough bricklayers awaiting supplies at the monument site, gangs of peasant labourers will begin to haul loads of bricks to them. Because these same labourers must also tend the fields on the floodplain, you may find that work on the monument slows down somewhat when the flood has receded and the peasants return to their fields. Easiest way to overcome this is to just build more work camps to support it. So let's put down small mastaba. The monuments are all within this religious structures. So for now, we're just going to be nice and simple and put it right there. So this needs 10,800 bricks. We don't need a shit ton of bricklayer skills, so we'll just put down 4 of them. And then we'll have a couple of extra of these, that'll do. These are a good way of sapping up unemployment in my opinion, so let's see. Employees needed, so we do need some extra employment, but that's okay. We could just put down this. Yep, that house there. I'm going to actually move the architect's post to there. Put down some more houses. And let's just put a big, low one like that. That looks nice. So we have the population. Prosperity is rising, which is good. Kingdom's starting to drop. We can put down a personal mansion somewhere. I'm not sure where because we have run out of water tile basically. I'll find a location for this to put it down. So they have cleared the bottom bit and now we are importing bricks. So at this point I just need to wait and let the money construct itself. What's this? A request. So there are requests in this game and this is the first request. So to satisfy citizens' needs, the city of Pharaoh of Egypt requests that you send 900 flasks of beer. The time limit you get varies, but as you get towards later missions, the time limit starts getting much more smaller, so you get less time. It depends on the request and the mission you're playing. But we have 1600 beer in stock, let's dispatch it. Money's going well now. I believe this will give us a gift of bricks, so that's going to be very helpful for us. Let's see, what's these houses needing access to? The house evolved drawings. So delete a house like this, and it will evolve like that. Very useful trick. Now let's see our prosperity rating because, oh, that's gone up really high, 50. Now I think we are losing money because of the imports, but we are just sort of holding it together. So let's just speed this up and continue building the monument. There we go. Because our reputation in the kingdom increased from sending that beer in time, we have 2,000 bricks. Which helps. I just realised these buildings aren't really working, so I haven't deleted that roadblock there, but 2,000 bricks should be enough to support the monument. Population's fine, we've got plenty of unemployment, which is good. And I'm not going to beautify up the place too much. We have plenty of... we don't actually have enough barley in stock, but that's okay. One thing to know about these brewers is they will not work unless they have 100 units of barley. So if they have like an odd number like this, and that's not working. So it's 12 workers being wasted doing nothing, essentially. Unfortunately, you cannot turn off that specific building. So we just need 3,600 bricks, and we should get that very shortly. And there we go, we won the mission instantly. We did not need to do too much. And yeah, so that was Men-nefer. We built the monument. We just victoried immediately. I didn't even get a thing saying the boss was complete. Never mind. Let us proceed.
Congratulations. You have built a capital worthy both of the living and the dead. And by developing trade relations with other cities, you have introduced your city to the world stage.
Indeed we have. So we have built Men-nefer, a capital that is going to last forever. It's going to be a staple of pretty much every mission. Really. So that was Men-nefer. We got our culture up there. We got a nice prosperity rating and a good score as well. So, and we built the first monument. That is going to be it for this part. I'm going to see you in the next part, where we're going to develop our first military and start getting a little bit into that side of things. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye now.